Welcome back, everyone. So thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we're diving into something literally all of us use every single day, yet very few of us actually understand how it works behind the scenes. We're going to investigate the fascinating and honestly sometimes surprising money engine that drives the Canadian music streaming industry. Let's get right into it.
It's kind of the ultimate modern mystery, right? You pull up your favorite app, search for a track, hit play, and your subscription dollars go somewhere. But where exactly and to whom? How does a $10 monthly fee magically transform into an artist's paycheck? Well, that is exactly what we're breaking down today using a comprehensive 2021 study on the economic impacts of music streaming.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the streaming boom, meet the actual rights holders, follow the streaming dollar, compare the majors to independent artists, and wrap up with the data-driven future.
Section 1. The music streaming boom.
The sheer velocity of this growth is absolutely wild. Back in 2016, streaming in Canada pulled in roughly $129 million. At the time, that was about 35% of total recorded music revenue. But fast forward just 4 years to 2020, that number skyrockets to $359 million. I mean, streaming went from being just a piece of the pie to a whopping 74% of the entire thing. It is the undisputed king of music consumption right now.
Section 2. Meet the rights holders.
So the industry basically divides the whole supply chain into 4 distinct buckets. First up, you've got the songwriters, the folks actually penning the lyrics and composing the music. Then, the publishers. Think of them as the business partners trying to monetize those songs. Third are the performers, the singers and session musicians bringing the track to life. And finally, the record labels, or producers, who usually fund the sessions and own the final master recording.
Now, to really understand who gets paid what, we got to define a little bit of industry jargon. First up, mechanical royalties. Historically, this literally meant pressing a physical copy, like a vinyl record. But today, that right still exists in the digital world. So whenever a song is reproduced, like when it's beamed to your phone as an interactive stream on an app, the songwriter is owed a mechanical royalty for that digital copy.
Next, we have what are called neighboring rights. This is totally separate from the rights to the underlying lyrics or notes. This right is all about the actual, specific sound recording itself. When that specific recording is played publicly, let's say on satellite radio or a non-interactive playlist, well, the performers and the label that owns the master are entitled to equitable remuneration.
But actually navigating this maze of royalty collection in Canada, it is incredibly complex. You've got this massive web of collective management organizations, or CMOs. There's SOCAN for public performance of compositions, CMRIA for mechanical reproduction, Resound for the sound recordings, plus a bunch of others. An artist has to somehow thread their way through this absolute labyrinth just to collect the money they've already earned.
Section 3. Following the streaming dollar. All right, let's look specifically at streaming earnings from 2019. And spoiler alert, the pie is highly unequal. Record labels take the absolute lion's share, grabbing 69% of the earnings. Performers take 17%, publishers get 8%, and the songwriters, the people who actually thought up the lyrics and the melody, they take home just 6% of the streaming revenue. Basically, owning the master recording gives the labels immense negotiating power. Let's put those massive macro percentages into a more relatable perspective. Imagine you're an indie artist and you hit a huge milestone, 1 million streams. Sounds like you've totally made it, right? Well, look at the estimated payouts. 1 million streams on Spotify nets you around $4,000 US. Apple Music is around $5,000. Tidal pays a bit better at $12,000, and YouTube sits way down at $1,750. And don't forget, that tiny payout usually has to be split among band members, co-writers, the whole shebang. Which brings us to this rather stark reality. Out of the roughly 7 million artists on Spotify in 2020, only 0.11% generated earnings of $100,000 US or more. Just 0.11%. Earning a sustainable living wage purely through streaming platforms is just exceptionally rare for the vast majority of artists.
Section 4. Majors versus independent artists. Over 60%. That is a truly jaw-dropping statistic.
In 2020, if you look at the top 50 streamed songs featuring Canadian performers, over 60% of those streams belong to just 4 global superstars: Drake, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, and Shawn Mendes. It just goes to show how heavily concentrated the market is at the very top, capturing almost all the listening audience and the revenue.
And building on that, the dominance of the major labels at that highest echelon is basically absolute.
That exact same year, out of the top 50 streamed songs in Canada, domestic and international combined, guess how many featured performers were represented by an independent label? 0. Literally 0. Every single artist in that top 50 tier had the massive resources, distribution, and promotional power of a major label backing them.
Section 5. The Data-Driven Future.
Now, the sheer volume of music being created today is staggering. We're talking between 40,000 and 60,000 tracks uploaded to streaming platforms every single day. But here's the crazy part. DIY independent artists are uploading 8 times more music by volume every day than the traditional major labels. Technology has just completely democratized the ability to record and drop a track right from your laptop.
And because of this massive fire hose of content, data is the new kingmaker. Back in the day, success was all about relentless touring, radio promo, and, let's be real, a lot of luck. But today, streaming services and labels use insane amounts of listener data to feed machine learning algorithms. This data customizes your personal playlists, targets hyper-specific audiences, and labels even use it to mathematically predict an artist's probability of success before they ever sign a contract.
So that leaves us with a truly provocative question to think about. If the financial rewards are so heavily tied to how an algorithm slots a song into a playlist, will big data soon shape the very creation of the music itself? Are future songwriters going to formulate their art specifically to please a machine learning model? It's a fascinating, kind of wild landscape. I really hope this explainer gave you a solid look at what's actually happening behind the scenes every time you stream your favorite track. Keep listening, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.